that for so long. I've avoided taking the necessary time to be alone. And I think that I've come up with ways of distracting myself from actually taking the time to be by myself to hear from the Lord. I just woke up this morning and I decided that, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. My intention is not to get on here and cry. My intention is to talk about this retreat. And I spent a little bit of time journaling this morning, but I think that my documenting needs to start today, before I actually go on the retreat. And I'm doing this for myself because I realized that I don't want to say that I have a fear of being alone, but it's almost like I've dealt with this. And this week, I believe that being alone in the retreat is going to help me with this fear of pure just being in isolation by myself without anyone else around. Because as a kid, I spent a lot of time dealing with trauma and things in my own head and not getting them out. I didn't talk about the things that I was going through, and I didn't give myself permission to release them to anyone. And in turn, I internalized fear and silenced my voice. And it's not that I silenced my voice as in I'm afraid to speak to people, because I wasn't a shy kid growing up. I silenced my voice as in I didn't say the things that really mattered. I didn't speak in terms of, things that really should have been said. And I think that this week, honestly, it's really intimidating. Just the idea of being alone in the woods by myself with pitch blackness in a tiny, home with no one else for a whole week. That right there is a little intimidating. But I believe that it's absolutely necessary to facing my fears and the things that have tried to confront me. And I'm going to document this process. I realize that I'm an external processor, and the way that I slow down is getting it out. And I'm going to take time to pray. I'm going to take time to really hear from God. And coming out of this, I'm making this journal because this is accountability for me during this process. I believe that for the last couple of years, God has had me at this place, just like Elijah, where he was at the brook and he was sending ravens to feed Elijah. But I think that the time between Elijah transitioning from the brook to the next season or the next place that God had for him, I believe that was a time of trial, because Elijah knew God, but he also had to trust that God had gone before him. He had to trust what God was saying to him and that God was supplying for him. And I don't think it was too hard considering ravens were feeding him. But I think in our modern day times where the ravens might be, clients or people that God has sent, I think coming into this next season, I need to trust God. And I need a deeper intimacy. For so long, I believe that what led to this is, when we grow up with trauma and we grow up where there have been people in our lives that just did not take care of us. The people that were supposed to love us and take care of us and tend to our needs, they just didn't. It creates a void or a darkness for the child that's experiencing this. And in turn, that child begins to make their own way. I was a runaway at 15 years old. I also experienced isolation in that way where I felt like I didn't know what to do, but I'm like surviving. And I don't have really any person to call on and say, how do I do this or what do I do? And so I got used to being in survival mode. And now God is wanting to teach me how to trust him as a father. And honestly, on one hand, I am extremely excited for this week because I know that I'm in control of whether or not I take it for granted or take advantage, of the time during this week. And I want to plan carefully to not, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Because I don't need to plan out the week, but I do need to plan to not be busy doing things. So, one of the things that I realize keeps us mentally busy is food. It's a distraction for me. I'm not saying that it's a distraction for everybody, but when you are spending a good portion of your time cooking meals for other people or even for yourself, that is a distraction to the time that you could be spending doing something else. And so I know that for me, because I don't want that to be a mental distraction of thinking about what to eat every day, I'm going to meal prep for the week. I also know that I didn't want to have to go and shop for things that are in nature, get off or bug spray and all that. So I took this time to get to know nature and things that come from the ground that I could make. And I think, I spent yesterday just creating like different oil tinctures and things like that I could use for bug spray. And I made my own body oil and hair oil, just ordering different oils, natural oils. And I believe that because also doing this and using these different oils, I'll be able to set a tone throughout my trip where it's really zen, if that makes any sense. Like, I can create an atmosphere or an environment because we know that just like certain sounds and our frequency, certain smells create certain vibrations or, frequencies within yourself, because those smells have triggers that bring up thoughts or pictures in your mind, and they create certain, I don't know all the scientific words, but I know that they create an atmosphere that is for praise, and so I spent time making products that had like frankincense and geranium Egyptian and peppermint and eucalyptus and lavender. And I'm really excited. I don't think I've been so excited to take a shower and to actually spray body spray. So I'm excited. But on the other hand, I am nervous because I've never done this before. And I'm nervously excited because I know that I'm going to come out of this with deeper intimacy with the Lord, conquering a fear of being by myself. I know that there's times that my daughter leaves, like literally my daughter leaves the house and she's maybe with her dad or something. And I feel so alone, almost like afraid. And that's over, you guys. I'm walking away from that feeling is done. I am conquering that feeling. And I've never really understood what it was until now. I believe that, you know, when you lack the protection, when you lack when you feel like you're alone and you think that you're alone, but God said in his word, I'll never leave you, nor will I forsake you. I believe that that's what God is telling me. And I believe that I experienced that within the past week, and I'm going to continue experiencing that going forward. I'm really looking forward to hearing God's voice for answers regarding this transitional place in my life and where he's taking me to next. Because this part of my career, or me putting it together mentally and strategizing everything, I wouldn't say it's coming to an end, but it's coming to a close. I'm walking into the unknown. I'm going into a land that God's going to show me and reveal to me. And I'm going to walk away with answers regarding the next steps for my career. And there are a couple things that I'm going to take to assist on this journey. So I am not taking my laptop, which at first I battled with myself about it, because I was like, I do need to take my laptop because I need to be able to study and look things up. But I do have an iPad. I'm going to take my iPad, and it's going to not enable me to really work during my trip. So I'm going to genuinely take the time. I'm going to take my Bible. I'm going to take a couple of books. One of the books that I'm going to take is called He Knows My Name. And it's about the 7 women, or 7 unnamed women in the Bible who had a personal relationship with God, and how he ministered to them and created connection and love for them and made them feel seen and heard. And then I'm also going to take this book that I really love called The Fourth Dimension. I really should be showing you so that you could, I'll show you later. And then I'm going to pick out one more book, because just in case those two aren't resonating with me, I'm going to pick out one more book. I almost think I might take Faith in the Marketplace by Bill Winston, but I believe that book is like a little long. And I'm not sure that that's the book that I need to be focused on right now. Yeah, so also, I'm going to take a sketchbook. I have a sketchbook with watercolor paints, and I'm going to take my video equipment, meaning my camera and my tripod, and some notebooks and journals. And that's pretty much it. My hiking clothes, because the place that I'm staying at is in the middle of the woods and it's surrounded by trails. And I'm going to go hiking through the woods, and I'm going to spend time in prayer and fellowship with the Lord. I believe that this entire week, most of the food that I'm going to be eating is going to be raw. Like, I'm vegan, so raw foods. By the way, this vegan journey is going absolutely amazing. I feel great. My skin feels wonderful, and my energy levels are phenomenal, actually. I think the only thing that I've been challenged with is waking up in the morning, and I just believe that's because I'm not going to sleep early enough. So yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing this, and I'm excited. Yesterday I went and got my car worked on. Well, not worked on. I got a general inspection just to make sure it's safe. And I feel like I've checked all my boxes. So I'm going to leave some things behind. And I'm going to press on into this next season. And so, here we go.